this guilt, and everyone in the guilt feels that the response of the city to this tragedy was beyond anything that we should accept as a society. During the whole week after the Marathon bombing, the city felt almost like being under martial law. And especially Thursday evening and Friday, we feel that martial law was imposed on the city without going through regular
Media
procedure.
reports have been stating relaying instructions to Massachusetts residents to stay in their homes and to not let anybody in unless they have clearly identified themselves as police. To shed some more light on this ongoing investigation and lockdown of Boston.
Apparently we're not the ones harboring a fugitive. Yeah, this is our garage right now. What the hell? This is what we woke up to this morning.
Yeah, this is from the book, The Mark of the Beast is the Chip. This is our book that we put out. And I'm going to read some excerpt from the chapter 6, The Mark and Martial Law. Because what's going to cause a lot of people to receive this Mark too, there's going to be a number of people that's going to openly receive it to get their food stamps, their WIC, and so forth. And there's some that will know the scriptures and know to stay away from it, but they're going to kind of have a gun put to them. They're going to have their backs put to the wall, okay? And then they're going to succumb to it and wind up taking it so they can eat. That's why the scripture said in Matthew 24, he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. Because things are going to change in this society. Anyway, it says here, and I'm going to jump around, it says, one instrument by which the RFID chip RFID chip will become mandatory is through martial law. Martial law is the imposition of military rule, whereas armed military troops and soldiers replace civil authorities. Now, you're saying you're crazy. That can never happen in America. Well, guess what? It happened in America about three and a half months ago up there in Boston over that bombing attack with the what's the name of the Chechen rebels, they said, the one guy and his younger brother. And that was during the finish line of the Boston Marathon. And what wound up happening, they wound up a couple of days later. They wound up chasing them down and finding them, and supposedly they killed one, and the other one escaped. And they had the Boston police, they had the state troopers, they had the National Guard, they had SWAT teams. They had everybody was dressed in military regalia, and they were all loaded to the armed to the teeth. All right. So don't tell me that can't happen in America, because it already happened in America almost about 4 months, 4 months ago. It says, whereas armed military troops and soldiers replace civil authorities, faculty, and personnel upon the criminant of martial law, curfews are imposed, accompanied by the indefinite suspension of civil law, civil rights and habeas corpus, permitting unlawful detention. Keep that in mind. Unlawful detention, that is detention lacking sufficient cause of evidence. Martial law is declared during social unrest. That was the situation of social unrest. Civil uprising, when they cut off the money, if they decide to default on the debt of the government, payment of the government that the government's supposed to pay for these loans, that your welfare is going to be cut off, your Section 8 is going to be cut off, your food stamps is going to be cut off, your WIC's going to be cut off. People that were supposed to receive pensions, that's going to be cut off. Your parks are going to remain closed. Okay? It says, I'm going to read this again. Declared during social unrest, civil uprising and riots, 2nd Ezra 15, verses 15 and 19, and during major natural disasters, wherein it is given the legal construct of a state of emergency, because all they have to do is declare a state of emergency, and when you declare a state of emergency, you do away with the Constitution, or you suspend the Constitution, either the whole Constitution or parts of it. It says disasters wherein it is given the legal construct of a state of emergency. Officially, the U.S. has mandated martial law under Section 1031 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which was signed by Barack Obama, which he said he wasn't going to sign it, and he wound up signing it. He was in Hawaii, I believe, and it was on New Year's Eve when everybody was partying and reveling. All right? Acronym NDAA. Authorized U.S. Armed Forces to perform law enforcement duties and functions on U.S. soil, which happened in Boston. Congressman Ron Paul recently stated during an interview with radio talk show host Alex Jones discussing NDAA that it is literally legalizing martial law, and it's martial law. You got the Patriot Act in place, and you got the NDAA, where they can snatch up U.S. citizens indefinitely. It said that it is literally legalizing martial law. Section 1021 of the NDAA allows the government to indefinitely detain U.S. citizens held by the U.S. military. All right, that throws posse comitatus out the window under the law of war, because the government is going to declare war on the U.S. citizens without trial and have them exiled and deported. It says the NDAA via martial law is one method by which the Edomites will introduce the chip that is by force of the sword. NDAA ensures previous legislation such as Obamacare. Like I said, this whole chip is going to be implemented through the Obama Health Care Plan. All right, or what we call the Obama Health Care Plan, are designed to push the chip, and is in accordance with prior legislation that will enable the government to proceed with martial law. For instance, the Patriot Act, I mentioned that. The Project Megiddo, we spoke about that, reported by the FBI targeting Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Now, in this the NDAA section 1021, and this is what it says. And I'll read parts of it. So, as I said before, as I've been saying for the longest, you got Israelite clowns out there saying that we're going to be here for the next 40 years, 30 years, 50 years, you know. Alex, he said that we can be here for another 1,000 years. Shows how much he knows. But anyway, get into this. And I'm going to get into this brief. This is NDAA section 1021 and 1022. a scary potential, right? And it says this, I'm going to just read parts of it. It says, Section 1021, Congress affirms that the authority of the President to use all necessary and appropriate force pursuant to the authorization for use of military force includes the authority for the armed forces of the United States to detain covered persons pending disposition under the law of war. When you read into it, if you read the whole thing, the whole section 1021 and 1022, it's talking about U.S. citizens. And that's how they're going to push that. That's one way they're going to push the mark of the beast, or the microchip, or the very chip, or however you want to call it. Because now they're being nice to you. Now they want you to eventually take it by way of the Obamacare. But the ones, they already know that people in the Bible Belt, the Patriot movement, people that follow Alex Jones, certain so-called born-again Christians, and certain Israelites know about that. So once they get the weak ones to receive that mark, now they're going to have to use the military to make the rest of you receive that mark. So it's high time to wake out of sleep.